Line 6 Helix firmware 3.8 is now available, and we are so very excited to be walking you through what's in there. It's not the biggest one.
No.
Well, to some people, this may not be. I think some people think effects, lots of effects, is what makes a great firmware update. This one, though, has some nice tones. You can't have tone without amps and cabs anyways.
Yeah. The amps that are included in this update are spectacular. They're awesome.
So much fun.
First of all, we've got the Fender Super Reverb, which is a 410 vintage, black panel style Fender amplifier. Beautiful, like Fender cleans, punchy. The kind of thing that you might think about, like beautiful cleans from a Fender. But if you gain this thing up, we're going to show all this to you in a little bit. When you crank it, man, it sounds really good.
It's got some cool sounds.
Yeah, the next thing we've got is the Bogner Ecstacy, the 101B, 100 watt, absolute beast of an amplifier. We've got the blue and the red channels. Bradford and I are both like thinking we got to buy a Bogner Ecstacy now.
We'll talk more about it. We're smitten.
It's
We'll keep
so
rolling.
good. Those amps are very expensive though. Your Line 6 Helix or HX Stomp, much more affordable.
You could buy like 2 and 3 Helixes new before you get to the price of a Ecstasy.
Yeah, and finally we've got the EV 5153, not 5153, 51503. It's the 6L6 version, 100 watt, tons.
Oh, because there's another version
tons.
of it too.
Yeah, lots and lots of gain on tap. Again, we've got the red and the blue channels available for this one. Sean, later in this video, is going to take it home and show you what this sounds like. So, if you want to brush up on your Van Halen licks, this is a good one to do that with. Now we have presets that we've built around all of these different amplifiers available as well. Links for all those are below, so if you enjoy the sounds that you're hearing in this video, you can get them in your Line 6 HX device. We also have some new cabs available in this update. The 410 US Super is based on the Super Reverb that Line 6 acquired. Now, when we were going through the beta notes and stuff, and there's a forum that you can go on and talk about it, we heard from Line 6 that the speakers that are in their Super Reverb are not original to the amp, so they're a different type of speaker. So whether or not, if you pull up this cab, whether or not it actually sounds like a 410 Super Reverb, if it doesn't sound exactly like that, it could be because of the fact that theirs has different speakers in it.
Yeah, and speakers make a bigger difference than I think a lot. Some people don't realize that is what I'm getting at. So.
There are two more cab models based on Ben Adrian's own personal amplifier, which he has called the Cartographer. And it's a 412 cab. So basically you get that cab loaded with different speakers. First of all, the Gov cab, the GUV. These are with the Eminence Governor speakers. And then you also get the C90 speakers. Those are with the Mesa C90 speakers. So really cool 412 option for you for, you can of course use this with any of the amp models in the units.
And if you haven't checked out the Cartographer amp, though,
it's good.
It's very cool. You definitely need to. So do that. That came out years ago.
Yeah, I think it's based on like an old trainer that he
modified to Oblivion.
Yeah. So it's its own thing these days. There's also another 412 in here based on a Soldano SLO 412 cab. The SLO is an amp, but the cab that is like meant to go with it. And one more thing, there is a new effect, a wah, based on the Dunlop 105Q.
One lonely effect.
One lonely effect that got added in this firmware. This is the amp and cab update.
It is, and there's like no features either is what it looks like.
There's a few bug fixes.
Yeah, bug fixes, but like we don't have any features, and that's okay. And I know like, because initially Brian and I were like, oh, cool, Super, and then like these other amps.
Supers are awesome.
But then,
These other
we
amps are
started
awesome.
messing with them more. And so if you're here because you're more into like the pedal board friendly platform amps, don't click away, because the tones coming up are a lot of fun.
The gain monsters in here are real good.
They're real good. So we'll get into that when we talk about each one. But Super,
Yeah.
let's hear something first. Fender amps, some people probably think, and it's totally understandable, that they're like, yeah, but they're all just like basically the same sound, just like, and if you want to play them all back to back without seeing them, you probably, they're pretty similar. Something about a Super though, it's bigger, 410s. I'm doing a Brian right now. It's just here off camera. We have one.
It's a long-running inside joke.
Long-running inside joke.
Yeah.
Gained up, you're not getting like Bassman, which kind of almost ventures into Plexi territory, because that's a whole history thing. If you're not sure about that, you should check that out. It's a really cool gained up sound. I'd say it's not as scooped as a deluxe reverb.
Right.
Like, it's still got some of that, but it's real punchy. Takes pedals pretty well. It's got some headroom. So you're gonna get to check that out more. Let's hear a couple more samples.
So in these playing samples, in the Super Reverb preset that we have available, we used an impulse response that's one of our own impulse responses based on a Mesa Boogie Blue Angel, which is an amp that nobody's ever heard of.
Right.
But they're awesome.
But
it's basically Mesa's take on a Super.
Yeah.
And so it's a 410, and it has the Jensen speakers in it. So
that a typical Super will
like
have.
a Super would have. Not
Yes.
necessarily a vintage, an old Super, but if you buy one, you can get with Jensen. So
Yeah, you can get a modern reissue.
yeah, and so we thought that that impulse response paired really nice with the Super model in the Helix. So in these playing samples and with the preset, you're gonna get that impulse response, which we thought gave you sort of the vintage Fender experience. So I've never played a real Bogner Ecstacy, which may change because I'm gonna start looking for him now.
I have a while ago.
Have you?
And I just was like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
It wasn't my style, and also loud. Yeah, no duh. So
Okay.
you can't really do what you want with it.
Yeah,
Anyways.
so the Ecstasy is like the flagship model from Bogner. They're very famously played by Steve Lukather, although many artists,
Aerosmith guys.
yeah,
Too, yeah.
have used them along the way.
Many, yeah.
Like many Bogners, it's sort of like a hot rodded Marshall Plexi kind of a thing. It definitely has its own voice. Now, the Line 6 modeled the blue and the red channels. And so the blue channel is the more vintagey, lower gain channel. It's not clean, I wouldn't say.
No.
Like you can, but
It's crunchy, I would call
yeah,
it more than anything.
yeah,
it's not
kind
dirt, but
it's like a plexi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can, if you pick, it's super responsive to
Yes.
like pick attack volume on your guitar. So like you can pull your volume back to like 8 and not on the bridge pickup, or especially with single coil pickups, and get really beautiful clean tones. We'll demonstrate that as we play the amp. But then that channel, the blue channel, can go from like, you can back off and get it clean to like a pretty rock and crunch tone, like a classic rock tone. Of course, you can push it with drives and things and boosts and things like that and get, a really big sounding Marshall tone. But then you can flip it over to the red channel, and it's just it pretty much blew us away.
Yeah.
Listening to this amp,
Yeah.
it sounds so good. It's so aggressive, but yet not like,
And it's not
just in your face gain.
I wouldn't, and it's not
Kind of is in
high
your
gain.
face. Yeah.
It is a very juicy amp. Like that's the word. Like the
It's
mids, it's not
satisfying.
honky,
Yeah.
and it's not like a lot of people think mids. They think like AC30.
Yeah.
Like it's not that. It's like a very. It's not nasally in a bad way. It's just a very focused sound. It is so cool, and I am very much in love with it. I was very surprised.
It's good. It's
So,
good.
I mean, we're talking here like about the amp. Line 6 did a phenomenal job of recreating it. All the switches are there. There's a
so
lot
many
of options.
Yeah, in the model itself.
Yes,
And
it's
they make
very
a big
flexible.
difference.
They do. So we chose our favorites is how we did it. As we're trying to get things sounding, we chose what we liked the most. The preset you'll hear is like a handful. You have like 8 snaps.
Yeah.
4 of them are on the blue channel, so you can kind of treat it like that. 4 of them are for the red channel. And it's really meant so you can get like the full experience of the amp.
Yeah.
And try some different effects into it. Like just the amp on its own. What's cool about the red channel is we added a widener on it using the double take. So if you're playing in stereo, that's what you want. If you're not playing in stereo, probably don't want to use it. It'll probably sound kind of phasey and kind of bizarre. But if you are, honestly, I would just want to leave it on the whole time. But we were trying to just let people hear how things sound. But very cool amp.
And this preset uses both of those amp blocks are in the preset, and you flip and you can flip them on. Like you can hit a button. How we did it. And it's almost like channel switching the amp.
Because the amp itself was not modeled to be channel switching.
Yeah.
The amp itself was modeled to be 2 separate instances of the amp.
Right. Yes. With all the options.
Yes.
The other thing about the preset that you're going to hear is we're using another impulse response of ours based on a Mesa Boogie 412 slant cab with V30s. We thought it really worked well with this amplifier and with the 5150.
Yeah. V30s do a great job of handling high gain, nice and tight. They don't flub out, and that's kind of a staple for higher gain amps. So
let's hear the Ecstacy.
Check it out. All right, so the EVH 5153, this one has been highly requested. People really liked what was done to this. A bit more, the 2 channels to me, I can't remember which one now because the Ecstasy also has a blue and a red. The blue is the one I think sounds a little more vintage, and the red is a little more, I don't know. It's a slight EQ shift. It's not dramatic. You may play and be like, I don't hear the difference, and that's fine. But the amps, I mean, it is high gain. The patches are basically the same.
Yeah, you get 2 presets in this.
For this one, yeah. But it's just we put in the different amp just because if you want like one more than the other. Yeah. We did try to, just for good measure, try to put both in one preset. And one thing we've noticed over the last, I don't know, like 2 years or so, on all the updates with the new amps, the amps are taking up more DSP. So we're not able to cram. I don't even think if we took most of stuff out.
Maybe.
I mean, if they take more DSP, I would hope so.
Yeah.
But we try to take as much stuff out as possible, and it just got to the point where it's like, well, it doesn't really make sense to keep removing things to try to get 2 together to do like a switching thing. So you'll get 2 presets. I mean, do you like gain? Then that's what you get.
There you go.
There's no clean.
There's no clean.
No, it's not possible. The amp falls apart if you try to make it sound clean.
They didn't build it to be clean.
Eddie Van Halen doesn't play cleans.
That's right. He plays keys whenever he wants to play clean. For these presets as well, based on the 5153, we use that same IR of the Mesa Boogie 412 cab with V30s. We also, now, if you roll your own IRs or if you get IRs from, we tried it with Marshall 412, the one actually right behind Bradford over here. We tried it with that cab with the greenbacks. That's like the Jimi Hendrix thing. Jimi Hendrix
super special amp.
Yeah, and it sounds really cool. It's just a little bit tighter with the V30s, we thought. So, if you want to hear it with greenbacks, Because I think Van Halen played through cabs with greenbacks from time to time. I'm not like a Van Halen expert, of course. I mean, clearly. I don't think anyone here assumed we were, Bradford. So
I play tellies with lots of reverb normally.
That's true. So you can try it with that type of an amplifier or that type of a cabinet as well. We like the way the V30 sounds, so this is what you get.
Well, thanks for checking this out. This is firmware 3.8. Couple housekeeping notes, which people probably aren't tuned in to watch.
Yeah.
Line 6 does PodGo updates separately.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a different OS. That's important to know, too. I think people don't understand that either. We are way too deep into this, so of course we know these things. No idea about PodGo's update.
Whether it'll come or not.
If maybe someone from Line 6 wants to comment below. I don't know. If they watch. The other thing.
Nobody's watching at this point.
No.
You watch these analytics and they just go.
They just keep going down. The other thing.
So if you are,
make sure everything's updated. If you get a note, an error message that says this contains unrecognized models, from the bottom of our kind hearts, that means it's not updated. I promise you that's what that means. Just go ahead and double check those steps. The unrecognized models is you trying to insert models into your Helix that it doesn't think exists. So it says unrecognized models. So that's what it means. Just double check your sequencing again. Typically, you got to update the editor separately from your units. Two different steps.
The editor and the unit
yes.
both have to be updated.
Unrecognized models, I'll say it one more time, means that something is not updated. And also, if you're a Fractal user and you put in a preset and it's blank, that also means it needs to be updated. Not what this video is about, but I'm just making sure people know.
If you're a Fractal user and watching this far into the video.
If you're this far into the video, that's hilarious.
let us know what you think of these sounds compared to, because all these amps exist in the Fractal stuff.
They do. But that's it. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Everything is linked below if you'd like to check out other things we offer. Every firmware update that has come out for the last 5-7 years.
Since 2.5.
Since 2.5, we have made
that was our
patches
first big one.
Yes.
That was the reverb one, right?
Yes.
The big reverb update.
So we offer stuff on release days, what we typically have been able to do with all the patches, and we also do cool tone match stuff, which is like fancy IRs. You can learn more about that. We also make separate IR packs of speakers. Yes, if you're interested, acoustic IR packs. We cover any of the big modelers, even Kemper and Fractal stuff, Tone X,
all the big modelers and Kemper.
So thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Next one. Bye.